there are rivalries, but I don't think she has anything to do with me. I mean, my whole thing is singing, writing songs.
An actress.
Yeah, and you know, I've been doing this, you know, my whole life. Singing is first and foremost. It's a God-given talent that I'm grateful for. Her thing is something different.
Not again. Beyoncé's name is blowing up online, and this time it's not just some petty drama. People are accusing her of quietly pushing Mariah Carey out of the spotlight. Yes, that Mariah, the very same woman she once praised like a queen. And this ain't just random internet gossip. Harry's voice is all over this, stirring the pot like it's his full-time job. Now, don't come swinging, Bayhive. This is all alleged, but let's keep it real. When there's smoke in the music game, there's usually some serious fire blazing behind the scenes. And let's not forget, didn't Beyoncé once admit that folks didn't want her at certain events because she'd walk in and steal the whole vibe? And get this, it's allegedly Jennifer Lopez claiming Beyoncé had a hand in watering down Mariah Carey's position in the industry. Like, what kind of behind-the-scenes madness is really going on here? Yeah, we all know J.Lo and Mariah got their own history, and J.Lo might not be the best person to throw stones. But let's not lose focus, because this tea runs way deeper than that old feud. If you rewind the clock, Beyoncé used to worship Mariah Carey like she was the holy grail of vocals. No exaggeration, she wasn't just a fan, she was a super fan. She's openly said Mariah was the reason she even wanted to be a singer in the first place. Bey once admitted, with her own words, that the moment she heard Vision of Love, her whole world shifted. That was the spark that lit her path to superstardom.
Have you heard Beyonce Drunk in Love?
I don't know. I love Beyonce, but I have not heard
Mariah just flew in from her own planet. I'm telling you, this is Mariah's.
my own planet?
Yes,
I did.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't.
And there are old clips floating around where young Beyoncé looks completely starstruck, like a kid meeting their ultimate idol. So how did we go from that to whispers of sabotage? Something in this story is not adding up. Beyoncé was out here fangirling over Mariah's powerhouse vocals and iconic stage presence. No shame in that. But here's where the plot thickens. Some people started suggesting that maybe Bey didn't just admire Mariah, maybe she quietly wanted to replace her. Sounds crazy, right? But the talk started heating up because a lot of Beyoncé's big career moves started looking a little too familiar, especially when it came to those strategic music drops. That infamous surprise album move? Yeah. Apparently, that shook the table in a way that had folks side-eyeing hard. When Mariah was gearing up for her Me, I Am Mariah, the elusive chanteuse album, the Bayhive came out swinging, accusing her of copying Beyoncé's legendary 2013 surprise drop. But not everyone was buying that storyline, not by a long shot. Some fans flipped the script completely, saying maybe it was Beyoncé who took a little inspiration from Mariah. They reminded everyone that Mariah had been teasing a fresh, low-key approach to album rollouts long before Bey's move, setting trends quietly, like the seasoned pro she is. So who's really copying who? This rabbit hole goes way deeper than most think. Let's talk shade. The glam, the diva attitude, the mix of mind-blowing vocals with cinematic visuals. Mariah was serving that back in the 90s when Beyoncé was still climbing her way up. Now fans are digging through receipts, side-by-side photos, and old footage pointing out how some of Beyoncé's performances, style choices, and even little mannerisms are giving serious deja vu. And they're not saying it's coincidence, they're saying it's influence, and maybe a bit more than that. But here's where the whispers get even wilder.
Mariah Carey's voice comes from God. You can hear the gospel in her voice. It's very nice to see her in the church. The whole message in the video was just Vision of Love was one of the first songs I heard when I was a kid. And I was like, how does she do that? In this little short amount of times, the amount of notes she could squeeze in that one little bar, or 2 bars, was fascinating to me. And that's kind of when I started trying it. And it's something that I love to do in my music, but she completely inspired me.
Rumor has it Beyoncé might have used her heavyweight industry power to quietly slow down Mariah's momentum, just to clear more space for herself. And trust, this isn't the first time her name's been linked to moves like that. Flashback to 2003. Singer Jennifer Armour reportedly sends her demo Got a Little Bit of Love for You to Beyoncé's label, Columbia Records. A few months later, boom! Beyoncé drops Baby Boy, and Jennifer swears the vibe is way too close to her track. She didn't just brush it off either. Jennifer took it straight to court with a lawsuit, but she lost only because she couldn't prove Bey actually heard her song first. Still, the situation had people raising eyebrows all over the industry, and it doesn't stop there. That jaw-dropping choreography from the Formation World Tour, that's under fire too. Word is Beyoncé allegedly lifted moves from a struggling dance troupe. Choreographer Marlon Ortiz, connected to the troupe's De La Guardia show, straight up called her out, saying, "Inspiration is nice, but him and his team deserved credit, especially since they've been hustling with no spotlight." And oh, it does not stop there. Remember that world-famous single ladies routine? Yeah, turns out that wasn't all Beyoncé's original magic either. That choreography was first created by the legendary Bob Fosse for his wife, Gwen Verdon, when folks pressed her on 106 and Park Bay finally admitted it was inspired by Bob. But let's be real, the world still hands her all the credit while the OG source barely gets a mention. And just when you think the tea's running out, boom, it spills again. Beyoncé's been called out more than once for taking or straight up lifting ideas without giving proper shine to the real creators. And one name that keeps coming up? Kalea Linney, a rising vocalist who swears Beyoncé used her exact vocal arrangement during a televised performance without asking or even acknowledging her work. Kalea didn't mince words either, saying, "I was shocked. It was my arrangement, note for note." And here's the kicker. That wasn't some one-off situation. Another messy chapter. Visual artist Lena Iris Victor accused Bey's Everything Is Love visuals of copying her signature gold on black style without permission. That lawsuit made noise, and it had people side-eyeing Beyoncé's team for maybe taking inspiration a little too far. Even some of Bey's most beloved videos have been compared frame by frame to European fashion films and art installations. And the similarities? Uncanny. Critics say there's a pattern here. Grab from the underground, remix it with big budget glam, then stamp her name on it. And now fans are asking the big question, is Beyoncé shining a light on other artists or quietly swallowing them whole? Because this list of inspirations just keeps stacking up, and still, it keeps going. Take the countdown video, another drama magnet. Belgian choreographer Anne Teresa de Keersmaker accused Bey of lifting her moves, and the internet came with receipts. We're talking side-by-side edits showing the steps, the camera angles, even the outfits. And yeah, the match was wild. Then there's the whole Kissing You fiasco. Beyoncé covered Desiree's emotional ballad for her B-Day album, renamed it Still in Love, Kissing You, and even gave herself a writing credit. But here's the shady twist. She didn't have full rights to use it. The deal fell through, yet she still recorded the track and dropped a video. Desiree wasn't having it, demanding $150,000 in damages and for the song to be completely pulled from shelves. And to top it all off, Bey's also been accused of pulling heavy inspiration from Madonna. And yes, someone made an entire Twitter thread breaking it down piece by piece. Oh, and we cannot skip over Amarie. Some fans swear she was the real blueprint, the one who had the style, the sound, the whole vibe first. Just put Beyoncé's Crazy in Love side by side with Amarie's Why Don't We Fall in Love? The similarities are way too close for comfort. Here's where it gets shady. Back in 2004, Amarie was grinding on her second album and teamed up with producer Rich Harrison, the same hitmaker who worked with both J.Lo and Beyoncé. Rich and his crew whipped up one thing in just a few hours. Instant banger. But when they sent it to Amarie's label, Columbia Records, rejected. Over and over again. No matter how many versions they turned in, Columbia just wasn't feeling it. Amarie later revealed the execs at Columbia didn't get her sound. Keep that line in mind because Beyoncé has said almost the exact same thing about Crazy in Love. She described that horn-heavy beat as having a go-go, old-school feel and admitted she wasn't sure people would get it. Sound familiar yet? Here's the twist. Amarie's go-go inspired sound was getting brushed off left and right. Then suddenly Beyoncé drops a chart-smashing anthem with that exact same style. And let's not forget, Rich Harrison had Crazy in Love while he was still working with Amarie. So naturally, fans started asking the hard question. Did Columbia really not get Amarie's sound, or were they holding it back so Beyoncé could be the one to take it mainstream? Cause something in that timeline does not add up. Industry chatter says there's a very strong chance Crazy in Love was originally crafted with Amarie in mind. Just because Beyoncé dropped it first doesn't mean it was made for her first. People in the biz know that what the public sees isn't always the real order of events. Amarie and Rich Harrison were pioneering that raw go-go rhythm straight from DC, her hometown. Before anyone else was doing it like that, then boom! Beyoncé's team comes in, that same sound hits the radio, and Amarie's shot at superstardom gets completely overshadowed. Some fans say Bey didn't just borrow, she snatched it, polished it, and made it her own while Amarie faded into the background. And oh, we're not done, and because there's still the Rihanna whispers. For years, rumors have swirled that Beyoncé may have thrown quiet shade to slow Riri's rise. Now, fans are even pulling Normani into the conversation, wondering why she hasn't blown up to the level she deserves, and guess whose name keeps popping up in those talks? You already know. With all these accusations stacking up, it's no shock that people believe Beyoncé might have played a quiet hand in nudging Mariah Carey out of the spotlight too. And allegedly, J.Lo's been whispering behind the scenes about what really went down with Mariah. But let's be real, J.Lo's track record on these same kinds of claims, far from spotless. Remember when Glitter was supposed to be Mariah Carey's huge cinematic and musical moment? Yeah, until it got sabotaged from the inside. Mariah had secured a fire sample from Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 track Firecracker for her lead single Loverboy. The deal was done, the track was locked, and it was ready to drop. Then, out of nowhere, that exact same melody pops up on Jennifer Lopez's album. Mariah and her fans were shook. Like, how does that even happen? Now, J.Lo had her In Living Color start, sure, but when it came to a full-on singing career, she was still struggling to break through. Why? Well, word in the industry was she didn't exactly have the powerhouse vocals to compete. And Broadway? That lane was closed too, because the acting chops weren't lining up. Enter Tommy Mottola, Mariah's ex-husband and the head of Sony Music. Their marriage had completely blown up, and Mariah was trying to walk away from both the man and the label. But Tommy wasn't about to let her go without making things messy. So, in what many call one of the pettiest power moves in music history, he handed that Firecracker sample, the one Mariah had already recorded with, to J.Lo. And just like that, Mariah's version got shelved. Mariah broke it all down in her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, making it clear that so many of Glitter's problems traced straight back to Tommy's behind-the-scenes sabotage. This wasn't just label politics, it was personal. In her own words, she didn't sugarcoat it. He was angry about the divorce and my departure from Sony, and he used all his power and connections to punish me. According to Mariah, Tommy's revenge was calculated. He wasn't going to let her thrive after walking away from him and his empire. Once he got wind of her new track and that Firecracker sample, he allegedly rushed to get a version out with another female artist on the label. Mariah didn't name names, but let's be honest, we know exactly who she meant. And that's why her infamous "I don't know her" moment cut so deep. When asked her thoughts on other female singers, she smiled, praised Beyoncé as sweet and talented. But when Jennifer Lopez's name came up, ice cold in just 3 words, "I don't know her." And after hearing what really happened behind the scenes, that line lands way different now. Mariah's been locked into that energy ever since. Not then, not now, not ever. She does not know J.Lo, and the shade, whew. Trust, it didn't stop there. In her sit-down with Hawk magazine, Mariah was asked about her insane schedule and admitted she was only getting about 3 hours of sleep a night. Then came the legendary clapback. When told that J.Lo gets a full 8 hours, Mariah didn't even blink. She hit back with, "If I had the luxury of not having to sing my own songs, darling, I'd do that too." Oof. That mic drop echoed through the entire industry. But here's where it gets even stranger. Suddenly, J.Lo's out here talking about how Mariah was sabotaged. Is this her way of slipping back into Mariah's good graces? And if that's the case, why is she dragging Beyoncé into this storm too? Something is definitely brewing behind the scenes with these powerhouse divas, and the tension, oh, it's bubbling over. If you love this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments. And I'll see you on the next one.